Today, we're going to dig into a really impressive corporate comeback story, and our source is Restore PLC's 2024 annual report. We're talking about the anatomy of a massive 47 million pound turnaround. It all kicks off with one pretty shocking chart. Just take a look at these numbers. Seriously, in 2023, Restore PLC was in the red with a loss of 29 million pounds. Ouch! Fast forward just 1 year, and bam! They're reporting a profit of almost 18 million. I mean, that's a 47 million pound swing from loss to profit, a truly incredible reversal. So this brings us to the big question, right? How on earth did they pull that off? This wasn't a lucky break. It was a story of some very deliberate, very strategic moves, and we're going to walk through exactly how they did it. But first things first, to really get the comeback, we need to understand the company. So who or what is Restore PLC? Well, in a nutshell, Restore is the company that other companies trust with their most important stuff. They are a super critical partner for businesses all across the UK, managing everything from sensitive paper records and digital data to massive office moves and IT hardware. The whole business is basically powered by 4 separate divisions, and each one is a leader in its field. So let's take a look at how they all fit together. Okay, so what's really interesting here is the mix. You can see right away that information management is the absolute giant, pulling in 61% of the revenue. Then you have the other 3, data shred, technology, and Harrow Green, each chipping in a solid 13%, making up the rest of the pie. So let's start with that powerhouse, information management. This is really the heart and soul of Restore's business, handling both the old school physical boxes and all the digital stuff that keeps modern business ticking. And the scale here is just, wow. We're talking 22 million boxes of physical records, almost 800 million documents living in their cloud. And their client list? It's a who's who, including a whopping 88% of UK national health trusts. This is a business built on massive scale, and more importantly, trust. Okay, next up is data shred. So once all that data isn't needed anymore, you can't just toss it in the recycling bin, right? That's exactly where this division comes in, handling the secure destruction and recycling of sensitive info. And they do this at a huge scale. Get this, 52,000 tons of paper recycled last year alone. And you can see how reliable they are. The average customer sticks with them for 7 years. That includes over 3/4 of the FTSE 100. That's a huge vote of confidence. All right, let's move on to division number 3, Harrow Green. Now, this is not your average moving company. This is the UK's top specialist when it comes to really complex, really high-stakes commercial relocations. Think about moving an entire high-tech lab or a priceless museum collection. Yeah, that's what Harrow Green does. Their expertise is so trusted that in 2024, they pulled off the biggest laboratory move ever done in the UK. Pretty cool. And finally, we have the technology division. These folks handle the entire life cycle of IT gear, from securely wiping data and recycling parts to reselling old equipment. And the numbers here are just as wild. They processed 1.5 million IT assets last year, and they securely wiped and resold 500,000 hard drives. They are a key partner for government contracts, making sure old tech gets handled the right way. So, now that we know what they do, let's get back to that multi-million-pound question. How did they engineer that incredible turnaround? The answer is in a series of really smart, really bold strategic moves. Here it is, the 5-step playbook. It's basically a masterclass in restructuring. First, they trimmed the fat at head office and in their support functions. Second, they merged their digital and records management teams into one super division. Third, a huge property consolidation. They ditched 10 old facilities for just 2 new, super efficient ones. Fourth, they got each division to focus only on the high-profit specialist stuff. And finally, number 5, they got laser-focused on managing cash and cutting down their borrowing costs. Okay, so that was the plan. But did it actually work? Let's look at the scoreboard, because the numbers don't lie. Now here is maybe the most surprising part of the whole story. You'd think a massive profit swing comes from a huge jump in sales, right? Well, look at this. Revenue was basically flat. This turnaround wasn't about selling more stuff. It was about something way more fundamental: efficiency. And here's the proof of that efficiency. While revenue stayed flat, their adjusted operating profit jumped by over £4 million. They just got way better at turning every dollar they made into actual profit. That's the strategy paying off, right there. And you can see that improved financial health right here, too. They managed to cut their net debt by nearly £9 million. This is the sign of a company that is more disciplined, more resilient, and totally back in control. Of course, a turnaround story this big isn't just about spreadsheets and profit margins. These kinds of changes have a very real human and environmental impact. And to their credit, the company addresses that head on. And it's really important to be transparent about the tough side of this. The report makes it clear that around 500 people left the company over the last 2 years because of this restructuring. That's a significant human side to this financial story. But here's the other side of that coin. For the employees who remained, the picture actually improved. Their employee satisfaction score went up, and it's now ahead of the industry average. So it suggests that while the changes were tough, they've created a healthier, more stable culture for the team that's there now. So we'll end with this quote from the company's chair, Jamie Hopkins. I think it just perfectly captures the whole story. The hard work of turning the ship around is done. The company is leaner, it's more profitable, it's more focused. The turnaround is complete. And now they're ready to grow. So the question is no longer about survival, but about what comes next.